Attention! I have no gavel. Let's call this meeting to order. We have a couple of firsts here. It's our first televised meeting in quite a few years. And this is probably the largest crowd I've ever seen at a Parks and Rec meeting, so this is pretty cool. Thanks everybody for coming. So we're going to start out right away with item 2, approval of minutes from our June 8th, 2022 meeting.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jane.
I'll second that.
Second by Randy. Any discussion, questions on the minutes? All in favor for approval? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? The minutes motion carries. Everybody has the agenda in front of them. Does anybody have any conflicts of interest to report according to the agenda tonight? Seeing nothing, we're moving right on to item 4. This is a public comment section. We do have a special agenda item for, I think, what most people in the room are here for. If there's anybody in the room that would like to make a public comment outside of that, now's your time. Okay, come on forward. You can have a seat right here.
Cool. I got a lot of things to read off, apparently.
Sure. Please state your name and your address.
Jacob Marks, 707 South Cherry Avenue.
Welcome.
And then I just read. Hello, my name is Jacob Marks, and I'm a Marshfield resident. I'm here to read a public statement written by Dave Tiffany, another Marshfield resident who had hoped to be here but has a scheduling conflict with this rescheduled meeting. Dave Tiffany is a founding member of the MDGA, the Mid-Wisconsin Disc Golf Association. It initially formed in 1989 as a group of volunteers who were local Frisbee enthusiasts who joined forces to establish a disc golf playground in the Marshfield area. Marshfield's Wildwood 9-hole, their first course, became a reality in 1991 near Hefco Pool. In the years that followed, MDGA volunteers have provided disc golf activities and events, course design, development, and limited maintenance using our own equipment throughout its history. MDGA volunteers continue to work with surrounding communities to create the following disc golf playgrounds: Northwood County Park, Marshfield, the Brain Park one, Loyal Westside Park, Rawhide Boys Ranch in New London, Pittsville, the course in Pittsville, the course in Sherwood Park, and the course in Auburndale School Forest. MDGA has also collaborated on other course designs and installations and more are under consideration, but it's important for the public to realize that disc golf playgrounds are not suitable for every park or property. MDGA's strong track record, coupled with free consulting and design services, has been the key to always being able to help develop the best disc golf playground that will safely work within the existing activities in a given park facility and within the project budget. It's also important to understand that there's a lot of effort that goes on behind the scenes to install and then maintain any disc golf course, especially one as rugged as Brain Park. We had a small expeditionary force of volunteers to help clear and pile underbrush beginning in 2001 to carve the initial fairways needed to officially open the course in 2004. So if you see a name routed on the side of a T-post in Brame, it's to recognize their efforts in clearing that particular fairway. The Sunrise Rotary also donated the funds in 2004 that allowed us to purchase the 9 putting station practice pin and 14 of the concrete tee pads. While we're on the subject of practice pins, any planned changes to Brame's facilities will need to incorporate the inclusion of a current 9 putting station practice pin as a vital component of the disc golf course. Practice pin spirals have a 45 by 50 foot footprint and should be located somewhere within an area bounded by the parking lot with the shelter and the first tee. The 9-hole putting stations spiral out from the pin starting at 12 feet and ending at 28 feet. Practice pins allow players to warm up without interfering with players trying to finish their fairway hole. They are also very helpful for group play when showing new players the game. It should be noted that all of the courses listed above include 9 putting station practice pins, as do most courses. Also, if planned changes to Brame's facilities will involve the current tennis courts, all of the disc golf community will be relieved to learn there is no intention to change the existing footprint or to remove any of the existing arborvitae trees that help define its current border. One of the most notable efforts made by the city was their commitment to removing the buckthorn infestations found throughout the wooded portions of Brame Park. It has made a remarkable improvement in spending time there. The first phase of the current multi-year forestry project to proactively address the anticipated emerald ash borer devastation removed hundreds of doomed trees last winter and replanted the harvest zone with several replacement species. The best news for the disc golf community was there was minimal impact to the playability of the affected holes. MDGA's ongoing collaboration with Mark Riskevich as city forester will help transform the next harvested zone as well without drastically changing the course layout. MDGA will be removing baskets from the harvest zone before the first hard frost, marking each side with a traffic cone to prevent any ground anchor damage by logging machinery. 6 of the 18 fairways at Brame have contracted mowed areas, but the great majority of the fairways are not maintained by the city. That's another reason I wanted to raise the profile of some of the volunteers from our group who have devoted untold hours over the years by operating the MDGA high weed mowers and using their own powered string trimmers to tame the fairways at Brame. There are seasonal activities that involve T-post maintenance and relocation of some pins to alternate locations each fall and spring. There are also 2 annual tournaments that bring many visiting players to our city and involve hours of organization and course preparation. Although there are several others that could be included, these are the names of MDGA volunteers who over the years consistently invested their time and effort to making and keeping the Brame disc golf course a great place to play. Brant and Julian Aschenbrenner, Jacob and Whitney Ford, Jacob Marks, Tim Muse and Patty Muse, Peter Ray, Dave and Mary Tiffany, Jacob Bortko, and Mike and Melvin Werner. In closing, our group appreciates that most members of the disc golf community place litter in one of the 6 waste barrels the city has installed on the course. Players also report things like vandalism, ground bees nests, paper wasp nests, and wind damaged trees, etc. That we then pass along to the parks maintenance for their follow-up. If you are a disc golfer and need to report these types of situations, please don't hesitate to email mdga1989@gmail.com. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Appreciate all the work you guys do.
Oh, thank you.
I think this committee has always supported and will always support disc golf at Brant Park. And one of the big reasons that many of those ash trees were left is because we identified the trees and we wanted those trees to stay. So we'll do everything we can to work with the user group of disc golf. It's used heavily. I work across the street. It's used heavily. So great, thanks. All right, any other public comments? Okay, we are moving right on to the popular agenda item, and this is pickleball. I think maybe just in a quick summary of what we're talking about today, and then we'll introduce Mr. Lee, I think. Mr. Lee will be, all right, great, come on up here, and you can have a seat at the table.
Well, as Ed gets settled in, I think most of the pickleball or users here or people involved in pickleball are mostly interested in what's going to happen with the Brame Park tennis courts moving forward. They haven't been used as a tennis court facility for a number of years. In the next few years, they plan on changing, and that is still going to be determined later on in this agenda. And I think these individuals here want to be participants and active participants in whatever happens at the tennis courts facility. So I want to talk a little about pickleball, not specifically related to Brame, but in the community and probably nationwide, and how popular and active the sport is right now.
Take it away.
All right, my name is Ed Lee. I live at 316 Lee Avenue in Marshfield. Thanks to John and Ben and Justin and the rest of the committee for having us here. So the former teacher in me wants to know what folks know about this game. So I'm curious, any of the committee members, have you played pickleball or have you been to a pickleball court? Anybody? Okay, a few people, wonderful, that helps, okay. And then I would imagine most of you, like myself, have dabbled into tennis or played tennis, right? So that's what I was familiar with 9 months ago. And that's all I knew. I knew tennis. And I was told it was played with this funky little racket and some goofy little balls. And you know, now I know a lot more. So more about that in just a minute. You probably all know that pickleball is the fastest growing sport in America. And this has been featured on all the national networks. They've done feature stories. Even our local newspaper had a pamphlet recently about pickleball and its growth and popularity. In Marshfield, members have said pickleball has grown over 50% just over 2021. At Miller Park, we have 10-plus players waiting to play on many days, like today. You probably know this, but in Marshfield, we're not playing with standard pickleball courts. The tennis nets are higher and they are wider. When most of you think of pickleball, you probably think of a senior activity, which is true. However, pickleball is multi-generational as younger individuals have started to play. We currently have players from 12 to 89. You should all know that pickleball is not just an athletic activity for seniors, but a social activity as well. And that was a big surprise to me. So why are we asking for dedicated courts in Marshfield? The culture of pickleball, and again, I did not know this 9 months ago, the culture of pickleball is very different. In tennis, 2 to 4 players go find a court and play for a couple of hours. In pickleball, people congregate to play, and the culture, whether it's in Marshfield or in Georgia or in Florida, is that people want to play with or against all the people who have shown up at that site. It's a very social thing. It reminds me of cross-country skiing in the 1970s. It was very social. When people showed up to trailheads, everybody talked, everybody shared stories, and you went skiing. But I really have to emphasize, it's a senior social activity as well as activity for us. So it's just not practical to take 4 players, like today. We had 10-plus players waiting. It's not practical to take those 4 players and go to another site. And the reason it's not practical is then once you've played a few times, you play everybody and you're done. And you really want to be back playing with the large group. So it's unique in that aspect. We currently could utilize 6 courts, and the sport is growing. By 2023, that would mean we'd need 9. Well, you can do the math. A 12-court facility built to regional standards would serve Marshfield. Could be used for a variety of things, not just for us playing, but also for hosting tournaments. Several surrounding communities have dedicated pickleball courts, such as Stevens Point, Plover, Rapids, Wausau, Anago, and Rylander, and I would imagine there's more. At this time, I would ask Perry Steiger and Carl Zimmerman to share their experiences with pickleball as they have played in other states as Texas, Georgia, and Florida. And after that, I would encourage the committee to ask any questions of us in the audience about our request for dedicated courts.
Great.
So, thank you all very much.
Thank
So
you.
if Perry or Carl would like to
Come
just
on up.
share their thoughts.
Yep, come on up. We need to get you a little closer to the microphones, that's all.
Good job, Ed.
Thank you, sir.
You bet, thank you.
Go ahead. I'll take the next chair.
Careful going through there, Carl. Yep.
As you see, I no longer can play pickleball. But it was, I'm Carl Zimmerman, live at 1906 South Balboa, and I think I have this right. 9 years ago, we played in Texas, and we were down there for a month, and I think we played just about every day. And I came back to Marshfield, and I went to the rec department, and just got the director, and I says, I have to twist your arm. He says, about what? I says, we want to play pickleball here in Marshfield. He says, I got somebody on staff that really knows pickleball, loves it, and we've been talking about it. So we're ordering out the equipment. So that was where we started at the Armory, and they put up a couple of nets, and we started playing. We started off with 4, but it grew, and it was so much fun, and we had a lot to learn, but we kept at it. My wife now over there. Can I tell them your age? She's 82. Or, I mean 81. I'm gonna be 82. She's gonna be 81 next month. I'm not. No, she'll be 81 next month. And anyway, she loves the game. She goes every day that she can. But she's pretty active, and it's a sport that I think is, can be played by young and old. And it's just, you play doubles, and it's, and everybody's so gracious. I mean, they, come on, I'll give you a paddle if you want to practice and learn, and, pretty soon we got them in there, and it just, like Ed said, it's, it's fastest growing sport in the country. And so there isn't much more that I can add from what Ed said, but I do want to, encourage the committee to move on this as fast as possible. And it's a great, community program, I think. And that's about all I have to say.
Thank you, sir, appreciate it.
Thank you.
Perry?
Okay, I'm Perry Steiger. I live at 1509 North Wood Avenue. My wife and I, we retired at the end of the year, so then we road trip down south for 2 months. First place we were at was St. Simon Island, Georgia, and pickleball court a block away. We were there every morning, and they only had 4 courts, and it was a big problem down there. Even for tourism down there, because everybody wanted to play pickleball, and you would have, there'd be over 30 people there for the 4 courts, and it didn't really work. I mean, but as far as socializing, wow, after 2 days, I knew 30 people, so I could go out, and it was fantastic. It was, and you hung with them the whole time. We'd have beach parties, but you met them at the pickleball court. It was fantastic. And then we went to the villages in Florida, the retirement community down there. Same thing. You're talking 8 to 10 o'clock, everybody's at the pickleball courts. And again, we met people, now that you got somebody to hang with. Tampa was the same way. We went there, it was the same concept. But I can honestly say, when I started playing here probably 3 years ago, I didn't know anybody in this room. And now I can say all of them are friends. I mean, we do things together as a group, and not just pickleball, but later on go out for a meal or something. We do that, and I say I didn't know any of these people. Now, yeah, we're all friends, and it's great. It is growing like crazy, and I just don't want to get behind the 8 ball that we don't reach it. So it's, I guess, all I have to say on that.
Thank you, sir. I think it'd be a good time, for the committee, just kind of fire away, right? I mean, if you have questions, any comments, and I'll start. I'll break the ice because I've learned quite a bit about pickleball, especially in the last couple of months. You guys have done a nice job of getting your input into me, into Ben, into Justin. I think what I haven't heard mentioned, and I just want to clarify is, if we're looking at like a mixed use court, that's a tennis / pickleball court, I mean, there's some problems with that, not only from what I understand, right, not only in the height of the net, but the confusion of the lines. It just doesn't make the sport an easy thing to play with the lines, and that's one of the things I've heard quite a bit of. So I just, do we have areas in town now that have mixed lines like that? And that's, yeah, right.
They're all that way.
Yeah, they're all that way, so it's a problem.
Okay, just on that, it's not only the courts and because it's the length. When I was down in Georgia and Florida, you only needed 1 pickleball because you're enclosed, so you're just going and grabbing it. Here, I mean, honestly, we probably need 20 pickleballs each game that we just chase around because they go all over the place. So that's
Yeah.
the whole concept of pickleball courts. It's more enclosed, so you can use just 1 ball.
Yeah, and the other comment I want to make, I guess it's more of a comment than it is a question, but I'll let anybody in the room answer this, because I see quite a few tennis players in the room, right? Even coaches, a couple of them. Right, people who have established the sport of tennis in Marshfield even, way back. So I want to, kind of understand how the tennis community feels if we were to eliminate the tennis courts. In fact, they're not there now anyway, not being played on anyway. Is this going to be a problem? How do you feel? Because I've heard from a few of you that are big tennis players that don't mind that, because serious tennis players play at the school and, so, go ahead.
Well, I go play at the high school, there's so many courts there
Yeah.
that, and they're never even full ever.
Yeah.
They have, tonight they play from 5:30. Too bad I got a prayer meeting on that night, so God comes first, so I can't play tennis on Wednesday night, but anyway, yeah, that courts are hardly ever used even, and that's the best courts, is the high school courts,
Yeah.
I believe.
Yeah, I saw another, go ahead, come on up.
There are 20 courts in town, and you never have a problem getting on a tennis court. And I love tennis.
Yeah, I know you do.
I've coached tennis for years, along with a few others here. But you never have a problem getting on a tennis court.
Okay.
The pickleball courts that we have, there's more than 10 people at times waiting to get on the courts. Gary and I have played tennis recently at the middle school, and they have 2 pickleball courts lined out on each tennis court. And if I were a middle school tennis coach, I would be upset, because it's really, really confusing.
Sure. Okay,
When you're playing tennis.
Yeah.
Okay. Great feedback. Anybody else?
Well, just on that,
Right.
I guess.
Yeah, go ahead.
Oh, go
I don't
ahead.
mean to
No,
bother,
no.
But if we're doing the pickleball courts correctly at Brain, that'll free up 4 more tennis courts too there, if they're redone. Because we wouldn't be bothering them at all.
Correct. Randy?
What's the footprint difference between a tennis court and?
About half the size.
About half the size, so for every tennis court, you could have 2 pickleball courts.
Wow.
I see, when I go by Oak Street, it's really busy now in the morning.
Yeah.
I'm lucky I work from home, but when I buzz out, it's always, somebody's rolling around there, something's going on. And you never see that with tennis, and even up by are there university courts still there? Are they used just for tennis, pickleball?
They're just tennis.
Just tennis.
Just tennis, okay.
Brett, do you have a
Yeah,
question?
I just had a question. So how viable are like the outdoor nature of a pickleball court? Have you had any challenges with wind or anything like that?
Oh, yeah.
That does,
I mean-
but we played with it. I mean,
Okay.
you have that condition, the wind, and you know when you're playing, okay, you have to play with the wind. But it's not stopped, it's not like, oh, we're not playing because of the wind.
Rain is a big.
Rain is, yeah, you can't do anything about that, but,
Right.
Okay. That's all.
right.
But the YMCA will open up to us if there's wind. Caitlin runs the
rain,
pickleball in the winter for us, and she'll open the courts if it's raining at the YMCA for us.
Yeah.
We can get up to, sometimes in a tournament, we have how many courts? 6?
Five.
8?
5.
Was it more than 5? I thought it was more than 5. But anyway, she'll let us play inside if it's raining outside.
But they're not dedicated either, and the
Right.
lines are,
Right.
It's
and it
confusing,
gets a little confusing.
but it works, for the winter time, it works.
We also have the 2 courts at the Oak Avenue Community Center that
Yeah.
we can play indoors.
Okay.
I was wondering, is there gonna be pressure on getting an indoor facility? I mean, if you say this is growing,
Yeah.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking.
That'd be nice.
Don't
thinking-
tease me
No, no.
like that.
That's another meeting.
Okay. I'll table that one.
That's a different meeting.
That's a fun.
Can I get, yep,
There's 174 members now on our Facebook, just our Marshfield Pickleball Center's 174 members now. Just, that's how much interest.
And it's
Impressive.
becoming a younger crowd too.
yeah,
Even
I'll say that too, and you said, a couple of people have said it's a senior sport, and it's definitely
Yeah.
it's not,
It's not
and
a
I have
senior sport.
people, I have people,
My daughter went and she's addicted.
yeah, and I
She's
have,
16.
I have friends in their 30s who love the
Love it.
game and are pushing for this too, and so I want to give one more opportunity for anybody to ask a question. Yeah,
I'd also like to comment that it's not an expensive sport to play.
right,
You can play tennis with a very expensive racket. This is
Yep.
not inexpensive.
cool. One more opportunity for committee members. Go ahead.
I just want to mention, I just started this year, but I remember, it's, a lot of people from one town come and play.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you do.
It's not just Marshfield, people that live in a different state, they're in Marshfield, they go up and play.
Great.
We got people that come from Stratford every day, we got people that come from Spencer, so it's, if you know how to play pickleball, they come and play,
yep, great,
so it's.
cool. Yeah, go ahead.
I've got a concern and a question.
I know what a pickleball court size is and all that standard. And I've seen when there were several courts at different places, the spacing is different. Some of them that are indoors I've seen some that were too close together. And I wouldn't want that. I mean, there's people that know more about the spacing. Is there a standard spacing? I don't know. Because if they're too close.
There's a standard.
Yes.
If it's too close,
There's a
it's
standard,
very
there's
bad.
standard spacing.
Because the balls
Just go
are
over to
flying.
Wausau, take a
Yeah.
picture, it's perfect.
We have to look at
Is that right?
That's part of it.
Yeah.
And then
Yes, there's standard,
No, no, I'm
standard.
saying, you think Wausau would be a good one too?
Yeah.
Yeah, they have a good one, and wasn't Plover that just put in a brand new one, it's supposed to really be nice, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was at Plover's
Yeah,
a
I
couple
heard
weeks
theirs
ago.
is pretty
I took
Last
a tour of it.
opportunity now today for committee members to ask questions. Gary, what,
Yeah, we don't want any basketball on.
yeah, we understand that.
Okay.
Yep.
One more
We
thing.
understand that, yep.
I work for the YMCA and I take kids for the YMCA. I have a CDL. I drive school bus in fall and spring and winter in Auburndale, but they hired me to, and there's nobody playing basketball in none of these courts. I take them to Gracie Park. I take them behind the school at Grant. And and none of the basketball courts, even in the morning, are being used outside. So putting basketball courts would be just more waste of money. And if anybody's serious about basketball, usually they get the key from the coach and they go play inside out of the sun and they can play longer. So outside basketball courts are not being used. I travel to all of them, all the parks, wherever there's basketball courts, there's nobody playing basketball. Even at 8:30 in the morning, there's nobody playing basketball.
Okay.
So, I mean, putting basketball courts would just be a waste of money, I believe. Just by me traveling to all the courts, just so you know.
Good to hear. Yeah, Gary, I mean, if this were something that we're gonna be considering on our next agenda item, but I don't think that basketball is in the picture in that court configuration at all. And if it were at all, it would be away from that on another side of the park.
Okay.
You know, possibly even off of Ives, but not something we're looking at tonight.
Okay.
All right?
Just for the record.
How do I
Okay.
start to play?
We'll get you hooked up later. So I think.
Come with me.
I'd like to thank everybody for coming down. This is how we get things accomplished in our community. We need input, right? We need people to be involved, and this is as involved as I've seen people in quite some time when it comes to Parks and Rec. So we really appreciate it. Thanks.
We
All right.
appreciate it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Thanks
sir.
for coming.
Let's go on to item 6, which is Brand Park Designs. We've got some decent input for this one, so go ahead.
Well, we've been dealing with Brain Park since 2017. We had a master plan done in 2018. Most of the master plans haven't changed since we had Phil from CBS Squared, and we've wrestled with the, Randy, we gotta leave that one open.
Oh, it's open. You just-
You have to have an open door meeting, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
I'm sorry. My bad.
One of the things that we've struggled with was why most of the people were here today, and that was to decide how the hard courts were gonna be designed, whether that would be a combination or set alone, and, obviously we heard very strongly from the pickleball group today, but there's also tennis, basketball, or some sort of combination, and it's up to the community to kind of decide what direction they wanna go. From a design perspective and a staff perspective, I think, a single sport is more advantageous than a multi-sport because of the conflicts that we see with multi-sport court services, whether that's basketball and tennis or pickleball and basketball, whatever it is, there's always a conflict between the user groups. So, and we found more success in just having a single sport use, even if it's a smaller facility, even if it's single sport, it is more successful. So I'll just turn it over to the committee, John, and let you guys.
Ben, did you have,
You know, what's really surprising is the social nature of this, and I think we as a society could do better by being more social with each other, put down the phones and go play with each other. So I think they've made some very compelling arguments, and I've thought about it a lot, and I think, why would we not encourage that as a community, the social side of it? So I've heard more than enough to say a single pickleball court makes the most sense in my opinion.
When we talked about the design of Brame, I remember I brought up is that tennis court used? Oh, yeah, they're used all over town, they're packed. I don't see it. I didn't see it then, and I don't see it now. I don't see people playing tennis anywhere. I mean, I really don't.
Not only do I not see it, but I'm hearing from, you know, established user groups of tennis in town that we don't need it there.
Yeah.
And I'm hearing that outside of this room, and I heard it from people who have established a sport in town. Gary Kaler, you know,
Yeah.
I mean, that's what I'm hearing. So this is, it's good input. Frankly, I'm blown away by the support for the support of pickleball.
Yeah.
I've never seen a group like that here before. Have you guys?
No, I was
mean,
very moved by the presentation.
blown away
I
by
think
it.
I
It's
echo
awesome.
what everyone's thinking, and
Yeah.
keeping it a single, single use would be the best option, in my opinion.
So the question I have is, I mean, we talked about 12 courts just now, didn't we? Do we?
Yeah.
That's what they were requesting.
That's what they were requesting, 12
They would get
courts.
to eventually 12 courts.
I think we would, if it's a single sport, we maximize usage by also appreciating the sizing. So
Yeah.
we can't put them right next to each other so tight that it becomes more of
Right.
a detriment than something.
You know, if I could speak
But-
from a contractor's
But
point of
looking
view,
at
it's
the,
never
like,
gonna be cheap to
our
do it the first time.
options,
That's
it
right.
looks to me like 8 would be the max. You know,
Well, I
like you
guess
have
the
4 and
point is,
4.
John, is can you expand that footprint a little?
What's that?
You know.
Well,
you
the
know,
problem with that is that disc golf right here.
So what about on this side? Or some variation here? You know,
Yeah.
if we were to send the architect back with the direction, that, look at this footprint and what would it take to get, if 12's the right number to host events and to have the bigger piece.
Clover converted their 2 tennis courts to 3 pickleball, or 6, essentially. So
But, you know,
they-
maybe
they
there's some movement
maximized,
around
what
here.
that,
I know,
those
that's
designs
what I'm
are
thinking too.
not taking consideration the width of it. They could
Right.
move in a little bit. I'm pretty sure we could fit at least 5 rows in there, if not 6.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. I mean, I want to be clear that we don't impact disc golf.
But it's just beyond the current existing site,
Right.
so.
It won't impact disc golf.
No.
Yeah.
Okay.
Where were the arborvitaes that they were talking about? The ones that he was saying?
They're right here on this side.
There's arborvitae, I think, surrounding all 3 sides at least.
3.
They may come down, but they're right next to the fencing. If the fencing's removed and there's material removed, there's no chance that root structure's gonna survive that type of work right next to it, and they may, but I don't see how the arborvitaes that are abutting on, wherever it's on Ives, whatever street that is, outside your
Cedar.
office, Cedar, how that would impact, and I don't see how I understand what he's saying, that they may impact it, but at the same time, we have to build pickleball courts, and there'll still be a physical barrier there of fencing, but it may not be the arborvitaes.
Yeah, and you're gonna have construction, equipment, and if we redo the lights and redo the fencing, it's gonna have to come down if you
Yep.
want to do
We
it
can talk to
correctly.
the contractor and say, do everything you can, but I am not guaranteeing.
I can tell you what, from that point of view, that doesn't mean much.
Right.
But I'm not just saying it won't impact the play of disc golf.
I'm not a disc golfer, but I'm guessing that obstacle might be a factor in one of those holes. I think it's hole 2. But once again, I can't control. The arborvitaes are for the tennis court, not for the disc golf course. And they're right next to the fence and arborvitaes. Even if we salvage them, I don't know the lifespan of them having that much root damage. If they'll just die in a couple of years anyway.
They're kind of big and overgrown now in the way they are.
Well, you might be better to incorporate a new landscaping design.
Yeah.
Fence.
Yeah.
Redesign the whole thing.
Right, then you get a brand new life out of them.
Right.
Right, so I not guaranteeing anything.
No, I don't think, yeah, you're right, I don't think. you
I can ask the contractor, but
They
he'll
will be
say,
destroyed.
we'll do what we can, but most likely it'll
Yeah.
be taken down, because that root structure's underneath that
Yeah.
asphalt right now.
Yep. Right, so you're looking for, from the committee today.
I need a direction on, either design ideas, whether it's a combination, a single purpose,
I
or,
think I would make a suggestion that rather than tie to a specific number, and say, let's go for 8 pickleball courts, let's go for 12, I'd say, you know, I would make a motion that we would go single use, it's gonna be pickleball, and now, let's see how we can maximize the design to see how many courts we can get on there, because if 12 is the magic number, that gets let's see if we can do it. But, you know, I think if we think outside the box a little bit, you know, maybe we're gonna move a couple things around, you might get a few extra courts, get up to 12, but I think would that be enough direction, for you to
As
say?
a single
If we're gonna
use,
say
and I'll
single
Go
use,
back to the architect and see
see
what
what
we
can we
can do.
fit on there without impacting the disc golf, without taking away from the other pieces, but.
I would- Yeah.
Would that motion be enough to get us going, or do you need anything on the, design of the,
Well, the softball's.
it's already, right?
It's just a softball field, I don't know
Right.
what else to do.
Yeah,
But.
okay.
I'll ask the same question I asked when we went through Brain Park. Is that softball field really needed? Is it used?
It's used.
That much?
Yep.
It is. Okay.
Monday through
Yep.
Thursday, it's used.
It is.
It's used.
And the high school
Definitely.
JV team plays all their games and have all their practices
And
there.
not at the, they don't have it at the
They
new
have
field?
only one field, so they
Okay.
have up 2 teams.
I just, when I go by there, that's one thing I don't, Brain is kinda empty to me when I go through town in the middle of the day. I don't see anybody at Brain Park, other
see
than
people
some workers
there.
in disc golf.
I-
Disc golf is always.
I see people
I see people,
I
there were
mean,
more
yeah.
when the tennis courts were active and,
Okay.
but I'm amazed, and it's not just the summer, you know? They're playing all year round in there, they're playing in the winter in
Oh,
there.
yeah,
Well,
I've
not-
seen, like,
Disc
tape a-
golf?
Tape a
Yes.
glow.
Oh, yeah, oh,
Tape,
yeah.
tape a glow stick and throw that, I've seen
Yeah.
that.
Well, not
Great.
only that, but people like to go there that work in the surrounding area,
Mm-hmm.
even from the medical complex that like to have their lunch. I've seen kids there playing on the playground.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, I think it's highly used.
I think so.
feel it's highly used.
Yeah, Natasha,
I just have 2 questions.
Yeah.
One, if we do a motion, just to say we motion that it's gonna be a single use, I think we need to be careful not to say we have to see how many we can get in there. I think we need to say, we'll see how many we get in there within the standard distance.
Right, of course.
Otherwise,
That's fair.
we're gonna create something that no
Nor
one
do you wanna
likes.
say, well, we're gonna put 2 over here and
Yeah.
2 over there.
So there just needs to be whatever works for
Yep.
that area, because otherwise, yeah. And then the second is, if those trees help with the disc golf, this is the only disc golf place in Marshfield, and we know they're gonna get destroyed, could we just put in the development plan that we replant trees? And maybe it takes 5 years, but then they get their trees back.
yeah, it's not a lot of space there, and it's, I guess it would be a tee, right? I mean, you're teeing off there, and so it's really narrow. But I think it would be something that you would have to work with the architect on to figure out if they could fit them in there. But I agree with that. I think that would be a good thing to do.
If they, I mean, they mentioned it, so
Yeah.
obviously it was something important.
Yep, yep,
It is.
okay?
I think, even in the motion, we'd say that we look to find ways to provide enough support for the disc golfers too, and.
Yeah.
We can put that on the same.
Yeah,
I'm not here for the disc golf, but I know Dave Tiffany, I helped build Brain Park.
yep.
I've only seen a lefty throw a disc into the arborvitaes along the fence line once.
Oh.
I mean, if there, wouldn't have been a fence there, arborvitae's there, a tennis player would've got a disc in the back of the head.
But doesn't
But that
happen.
was a one-time, I mean, seriously, that was a
Yeah.
one-time deal of
Thanks.
thousands of players.
And maybe
Good
you can put a
input.
fence there.
Good input.
Maybe there's just a fence, even if you don't have the
Well, there'll be a
arborvitae.
10-foot fence.
There'll be a 10-foot fence, so.
That was
Okay.
accepted.
One more question.
Okay.
Is there a better spot in Marshfield for pickleball courts?
I don't think so.
I know we talked about it at one.
University
point.
Park?
University's not, it's not the city.
We talked about it at one.
Oh, we don't have the, we don't own the field? I thought we did.
No.
We
I
don't.
think
Oh.
they share some
City
responsibilities.
County owns it.
Wood County.
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah. But we're focused on Brent. Is there another spot to put more court, better courts, more courts? Is there another spot to lay it out? If you're gonna redo, if you're gonna redo this thing and dig a hole, flatten it out, can we do it somewhere else and get more courts? And accommodate everybody?
I think it fits in well with the redesign of Brand Park.
Okay.
And it's a popular sport, and the park is gonna be a draw.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'd really like to
location.
see,
Nice
I'd like to see it there. The input I've heard from community members, even people outside this room think that that's a really cool idea. Yeah.
Gotta look at everything.
Yep,
Gotta make
absolutely.
sure we shake every.
We even talked about like the Miller,
Yeah,
SJ Miller.
that's-
and
that's so
it's like a crowned, but, no, this is the preference.
Okay.
Yeah, that I've heard.
And clearly the pickleball players support the idea of putting it there too, so they're not like
Yeah.
Yeah.
concerned with anything at the park.
That's a good
Yeah.
point. They didn't approach us and say, we want as a group to move it to Greasy, or we wanna move it to somewhere else.
No, my question is,
No, I get
if
you.
we went to them and said, hey, we wanna go here, and we can give you, instead of 8 courts, we give you 12 courts. Is that a problem? They probably, what would their answer be?
They're also not.
They
are
take the
just not
12
plans
courts,
to
right?
Do those parks anytime soon,
And I
are
would think
there?
you'd have to then answer the question, what are you doing at Brame?
Yeah.
Yeah.
At-
All right.
At Bremen, then it's like, do we have to?
Do I have a
do
motion?
anything? I'll entertain one.
I will, I hear what you're saying, but I think with all we've seen,
Nope.
and also the chance, brain, it's gonna move forward, right?
Yeah.
So, you sometimes have to strike while the iron's hot.
I agree.
So, I will make a motion to send this back for redesign for a pickleball only facility.
I'll
I think, to mention in the motion, you know, what Natasha mentioned, you know, standard, you know, size courts and spacing.
No, I would assume they design it with
Yep.
that in his mind.
But yeah, we're not trying to purposely cram it too much. So don't set a specific number, let's see what we can do that fits other criteria of spacing
Okay.
and functionality.
I'll take a second.
Second.
Randy. All right, do we have any more discussion or questions on this? We all good? All right. All in favor?
Motion.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Hey, that motion carries. Cool. All right, we're on to item 7, Little Free Pantry. And I bet you that's what you guys are here for.
Yeah.
Thanks for holding up for us.
She was really surprised at
Appreciate
the
it.
crowd that we had, so
Yeah,
she was,
appreciate it.
Erin was a little surprised, and she was gonna come in July, but we canceled the meeting, so I'm glad we rescheduled for.
Thanks for coming, Erin.
For August.
Well, thank you for having me.
In your packet is her presentation, also the email that she sent, so.
Oh my gosh, I'm super nervous. I also have these. These are more maps for visuals. So if you just
have
want, okay, take one, pass it around. I don't know. I'm an elementary school teacher, so I'm just kind of like throwing papers around.
You guys like to hand stuff out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also didn't print my own presentation, so I feel like
We have extras for you.
Yeah.
I've got it on
Oh,
my
you got it?
laptop.
You got it.
I feel so extra techy right now. So, I guess, hello. Do I need to say my address and all that stuff too?
If you want to, yes.
I'm Erin Muse. I live at 704 South Vine, right here in Marshfield. And I guess the Little Free Food Pantry is just what I'm going to talk about. And the first thing I want to show you guys is on this. If you look, all these little blue things, these are all little free pantries in the United States and specifically in Wisconsin. I'm not reinventing the wheel at all. This is a set organization, nonprofit organization that has existed now for, I want to say like at least 15 years. I didn't do too much research on how long they've been around, but they do exist in Canada, here in the US, Europe, Australia. So like I said, I'm not remaking the wheel. But what I do want to talk about is poverty here in Marshfield. So in 2019, just under 10% of the residents live in poverty, and in 2020, this rose to just above 10%. And I feel like here in 2022, with the way the economy is, I feel like we have all seen the prices rise. We've seen our food and our grocery bills start to rise, and we've all had the question of, how am I going to pay for this? Or what can I do to make a little extra money to help feed my family? And that's not just our problem, that's everybody's problem. So hunger specifically in Marshfield, I want to talk about, it's mind-blowing, honestly. Once I did the research, it breaks my heart. In 2017, just under 50% of the students in the middle school and high school reported that they had gone to bed at least once that month hungry. And right now, today, at least this last academic year, 245 students are enrolled in the Nutrition on the Weekends program, which provides easy to prepare, if not just like snacky food, just for these kids to eat. But these are just for the students. What about their families? What about the younger siblings, the 3 and 4-year-olds who definitely need that nutrition? And they're not in school yet to get into this program. So what about them? Well, St. Vincent de Paul, right? They have a food pantry that serves over 700 families in our community, and they serve hot meals every Monday and Wednesday. And there's lots of other organizations here in town that help feed the people of Marshfield, but they're not in a centralized location. And some of them, like, they require you to give money in order to receive the food, which doesn't make sense to me as a pantry, like, as I'm planning this, it doesn't make sense. But they also have times, like, you have to show up from this time to this time. But if you're a single father, single mother, working for your family, trying to earn this money, and you have the chance to make money or get groceries for the next 3 days, what are you going to choose? And that's what a lot of people are struggling with. So for this little food pantry would be open 24/7 in a centralized location and free. I feel like I've said free a lot. There's no need to sign up or call ahead like a lot of organizations ask for you to do. And like I said, it would be in a centralized location. We don't have to be walking. If you live down by the middle school, you don't have to be walking a couple miles to go all the way up by the UW just to get groceries for the week. So how this works is that I have a group of volunteers already, people saying I'm willing to do this once a week, once a month, or for like the next year, next couple years, saying like, we'll go, check in on the pantry, report what's inside of it, and then also restock it. People will be donating the food, and you're like, oh my gosh, what about, health allergies, and what if the food gets spoiled in some way? First of all, I would like to talk about the Bill Emerson Good Samaritan Food Donation Act. This protects from civil and criminal liability to those who donate food products to nonprofit organizations such as this for distribution to people in need. So with that, yes, this protects us, but also we have a plan. So during the summer, we can definitely have your regular things. We can have the fruit, we can have the canned corns and the vegetables and stuff. But if you think about how those are packed, they're still in a water-based thing. Think about like your canned peaches, they're in the syrup, right? So winter, we would be pulling all that stuff out, but still providing things that people can, one, eat, and two, use. For me, the reason I started this, and I wasn't going to talk about this at all, but I feel like I need to talk about it. At the beginning of the summer, I did a 40-hour challenge to live in poverty. I was given $40, said, feed yourself and your 3 imaginary children out on the streets in Milwaukee. It was terrifying. And I also ended up being homeless at the end of it. I don't remember, what was it? I think my wallet was stolen when I fell asleep at something. It was like a Monopoly thing. It was a simulation, so I wasn't actually out in the streets in Milwaukee. But like, these things happen. So winter, yes, there'll be less food options, but we have hats. We will have gloves. We would have socks. I don't know if you guys have ever lived in poverty before, or like have had to go canning before, but socks are important. The numbers of blisters on my feet and on my father's feet, who did this with me, walking around the Milwaukee with no shoes, it was awful. And then we would also have hygiene products, bars of soap, shampoos, conditioner, hand sanitizer, and feminine hygiene products. I feel like ladies, there's so few of you, I think we can all agree that those are extremely expensive and also very needed. So they would also be there to be provided. And on the pantry, it would have a little disclaimer. If you look on one of the photos, it's for slide number 5. Yeah, we'll have something like that saying like, this box, everything has been donated, we don't know, it's part of this project, we can't make promises, we are not liable for this. Contact if you have questions or concerns to this email, right? So we'll have that information, so if somebody does have issues, we can still work with it, right? Now where would this be? On your little handout, my heart has been set on the Wenzel Family Plaza. There are lots of places to sit, including with tables, which I feel like a lot of our parks, I'm not saying that they're lacking, but this one I feel like is very evident. There are trash cans that are easily accessible, free entertainment in the summertime and also wintertime with the ice skating rink, bathrooms at the location, and there's places that people are going to be going to in this population that are nearby. And there's a little free library there that I just learned about when preparing for this. There's lots of really great places, but my first choice would be by the bathrooms and the little free library by the parking strip. If you look at the red dot, I know everything's kind of turned red, our ink kind of ran low. The next choice would be further down in the parking lot. It's by a street lamp. Again, parking, there is handicapped parking right by it. It's between the Howard family and David Tammy Meisner entrances. The next best option would be on Chestnut Avenue between, there's a really big gap of like trees, like there's like 4 trees here, 4 trees here, and then there's just a huge gap. I have no idea why, but it's perfect. And then on 3rd Street between the Stage and Forward Bank entrance, that's another really great option to have this. Again, this isn't going to be a huge thing. I'm not expecting it to be like a huge room. It's going to be a box. Or potentially like if you look actually at the pictures, this is what it's gonna look like. I have people saying like they are willing to donate money and also their skills to build. Otherwise, I'm planning on also reaching out to the Hub City newspaper, seeing if they are willing to donate or sell to me for really cheap. Old newspaper dispensers, there's a way that you can rig them, change them so that they can become a little free pantry. But then also if Wenzel Family Plaza is out of the question, there's some more really great options at Wildwood. So if you flip that handout over, you can see another map. There's a really cool diagonal parking lot by the train at the very front of the Wildwood Zoo. That serves 2 really great locations. One of them is right by the entrance. There's a street lamp there, so that way people can come to it anytime. It also has the bikes that people can borrow and then bring back to the various locations. There's another really great option on the other side. It's going to be hidden by trees if we put it there. And then on the a little bit further into the park, by the other parking lot, between the walking path, Wildwood Station, and Wildwood 1, that's another really great option. Again, it has lights, and the park also has places to sit with lots of shade, the rental bikes, trash cans, entertainment like our Vox series, bathrooms in the summertime, and water fountains as well in the summertime. So I guess what I'm just asking you after hearing this is, I just want to use the space. It's nothing more than 5 by 5, and I honestly wouldn't even be using the 5 by 5. It'd be 3, probably max.
Got it. Oh, go ahead. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
I'm sorry.
It was a good presentation, very, very informational. So at this time, let's just fire some questions out.
Sure, I've heard we. Is this are you an organization? Is it just you?
Yeah,
Or
so
your
for
family,
here
or-
in Marshfield, I'm mostly the one setting it up, but I have lots of people who are saying I'm willing to donate, I'm willing to volunteer for this, and also my family are being voluntold to join.
But you're not a formal organization.
No.
This is just more your initiative.
Yes,
and then
my
you know-
initiative, and will be once, if this is approved, and once it is put up on the official little free pantry website, I can say, this is a thing, these are the people who said yes to it, we do have permission, and then it will go up. So these images are from that website, and so we will become another little blue pin thing.
And are you looking for 1 or 2 locations?
Just one.
You only want one
Just
location.
one. And there's so many possible locations, I'm sorry.
No, that's
So this
okay.
is, so this is like a little free library, right? It's no
Yeah,
different.
basically.
So I mean, I can put food in there if I want to, right? I mean, I don't have to
Yeah.
be a part of your organization.
No.
Okay, all right.
So
Can
any-
can I ask you guys, Nikki, Ben, probably, what do you think about Wenzel Family Plaza?
I have no problems at all with this going in Wenzel.
Yeah.
We do have the free library. I think that would be the best location for it. We'd have to walk it again, but
Mhm.
to have both of those right next to each
Yeah.
other would make the most sense.
Agreed.
Mhm.
Yep, go ahead, Natasha.
I think that corner is piped for sewer for putting in a bathroom.
Just stubbed at the road.
Okay.
But it is
Because
a
isn't that the
potential
location for the
a
bathroom?
potential location.
One
You
thing I
answered
would
my
say is,
question.
one thing I would say is there's 100 million different underground things in that park.
Mhm.
If we could potentially use one of the bike racks for the concrete slab to mount it on, would be awesome.
Right, which is what we did for the library.
Yep.
And the
Where-
little
where is
sign
that?
on the corner.
Yeah, so the little library, it's if you look at the red dot,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
just the right of
So
it.
that fits into what,
So
like
the-
in your first choice location?
Exactly.
Okay, all right.
So I
Yep.
think there's still a bike rack in the southeast corner slab. And then the southwest corner slab, if you're looking at the X's.
Yep. Mhm.
The little free library is kind of in the northeast, so that one's being used. And I think we put that wayfinding sign on the northwest. So we currently have 2 potential slabs already in place. It would just be removing and then adding this. Otherwise, if we wanted to figure out a different location and put it on a slab to be, you know, uniform with the rest of the plaza, there might be some issues with underground utilities and water lines and all kinds of stuff.
Ben, what you got?
I was gonna say, I like the idea of it by somewhere where you can just drive up to grab it. I'd be more concerned, you know, with trying to find street parking here, and, you know, there may be some people that like a little bit more of the anonymity of being able to just drive in there.
Yeah,
without
and
being
that's one of the
seen.
biggest
You know, there's
things.
pride involved with
Yes.
all this, so
Exactly.
just somewhere a
I
little more,
agree.
what I might see is discreet, they can drive in here. That'd be my suggestions.
If,
I-
would picking the 2 most popular parks in our system, would it be better to put in a less popular park? So I'm trying to weigh that option, because if it, anywhere in Wenzel's gonna be significantly more popular than, say, like Columbia or
Yeah.
Grant or Northern Hills. I mean, it's just significantly more popular, so wherever we put it, you're gonna be seen approaching it.
How about down at the, the helicopter park, what is it?
Veterans.
Veterans Parkway, how about in Veterans?
I mean,
It'd
I
be-
think the point of it being at Wenzel would be centralized, so it's close
That's-
to a
I
lot of
agree.
different things. That hospital park that you're talking about, like, it is quite a walk.
From
away
where?
From, like,
No, the helicopter.
Down by the old city hall, by the school?
oh, I'm thinking about the one,
No.
like,
Right
the
next to
yellow
Holiday Inn.
playground.
It'd be a couple blocks down
Here's-
from Wenzel.
Here's why I like Wenzel, right? Because it's a community gathering space. You know, Veterans Park is not a community gathering space.
But if you
Raise
wanna keep
awareness
it
of-
discreet,
Well,
a little.
but on the other hand, you could say you're also raising awareness for people.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah.
You're
all
down there,
depend-
you
And
know, having a
that's-
good time, and,
Right.
oh, hey, I could bring
You're
stuff
doing
down there.
it, you're doing it so it gets used.
Exactly.
Okay.
And like, I don't know if any of you guys have been walking around Marshfield at night at all. I mean, my little sister here, she graduated last year, and we were taking night photos there, and we saw a lady who was walking by, and we know that she was looking for a place to sleep, and she chose Wenzel Park, or Plaza, excuse me, to scope out the area to see if that's a safe space. I know, just from that experience, and also I babysit a lot, the people, this population, they go to Wenzel Plaza. It's a gathering area, like you said. They're already drawn to this place, so why not put it where they are?
Natasha,
Right, so if you use the slabs, are there bike racks down there?
mm-hmm.
There are. 'Cause I always put my bike on the grass. I never can find them.
No one uses the bike racks.
Well, that's
Where are
they? They don't look like bike racks to me. I was shocked. So they are the rounded, things that have
The
the
arches or
logo
whatever.
on it.
Yeah.
Those are bike racks.
Okay, so would we eliminate bike racks if you used a slab?
Essentially.
We want
Yep.
that
I mean,
money.
you're
No.
probably-
Bike racks that aren't used.
You're only probably
But yeah,
talking about
they,
an area this big.
they aren't, I've only seen them used once. I honestly did not know they were bike racks until Ben told me last year,
Maybe that's
to
probably.
be honest. I thought they were decor.
No, I don't want.
So, let me, I just wanna understand, so are you saying we're eliminating all the bike racks there, if we do that? Oh, okay, all right.
No,
It's
there's
just
still
a,
two
just a
presents.
part, right, exactly, part of the bike racks.
Don't get used, maybe because people don't know they're bike racks, I guess, but
We gotta
there's
put a
two
sign
there.
on it that says bike rack.
Seriously, I'm
Yeah.
always like putting my bike down, I always think it's so
I
annoying.
don't know if you know children, but
Yeah.
children don't read the
There's
signs.
the bike racks in all of them.
Okay,
I haven't seen it.
I'd like to, I think I'm gonna go ahead and make a
all the-
motion.
In the library.
I'd like to make a motion to approve this project and direct Erin and her organization to work with city staff on the best location at Wenzel Plaza.
I'll second that.
And Ben is a second.
Can we
And
do
discussion, questions?
Yes, thank you. I just wrote a few things down.
Yep.
If there's damage to this, let's say someone decides to chop it down or spray paint it or whatever, how are people gonna communicate to whoever needs to repair it?
Yeah, so that's what I was talking about with the volunteers. You know, I'm going to have people at least checking on it once a week. Plus with it being in Wenzel Plaza, I personally live a couple blocks away from that, and I'm there already like 3 times a week with all the kids that I babysit. Like, someone's going to see, someone's going to notify, and also like, since because it is such a popular park, with the little sign saying like, if something happens, contact this email. I'm hoping a random person sees the spray paint or whatever and be like, oh my gosh, this email says contact them, I am contacting, you know, but also like, the volunteers will come and they'll tell.
And I can kind of
guarantee that our family will probably be buying it like every day.
That's kind of what we found with the little free libraries,
Yeah.
is that there's usually somebody who bird dogs
Checks
it,
on
right?
it.
Yeah.
We don't,
I do.
we don't
Yeah.
maintain any of our little free libraries or do anything with them. If the books are burned, they're burned. If their thing's torn down, it's torn down. We tell the coordinator, this is what happened, you're gonna have to figure out what to do. And they've always agreed that that's kind of the relationship, so if it gets vandalized, it's kind of,
It's on us.
it's on, the volunteers gotta figure out what to do next with it.
The free library is Kiwanis, and so they are the ones that.
Okay. My next question or statement would be, I would maybe encourage you guys to think 25 years in the future.
Mhm.
You know, when people have decided to move on, they're married, they're no longer in Marshfield, like, I would say have a contingency plan for who you pass this off to. Otherwise, we have a structure that then doesn't.
Yeah. I would follow up with that and say maybe talking to Mackie or some of the leadership Marshfield groups. I think this would be a great opportunity for other people to pass it down. That's kind of what happens with leadership Marshfield, is they pass projects down.
Yeah, so I do want to encourage you and let you know that I have been talking to people, trying to make sure this is here for the long run. It's not just going to be me, it's not just my family, but a lot of my really great friends at church. I go to Northridge, and they're basically saying, like, we are willing to take this under our wings. And of course, I'm also reaching out to other churches. I currently have Faith Fellowship in contact. They haven't gotten back to me, but I'm also going to, if this gets approved, to reach out to Eastgate, to C3, and then also Cornerstone. Those are the other churches that I'm going to be reaching out to.
Can I just make one other, I'm just thinking about this. This has the potential to be very successful, and I'm thinking about one box, not really housing that much.
Mhm.
Would it make sense to maybe authorize the park to do a second one? If we find it successful, or do we have to do a motion every time we want a second one? I'm just thinking that, what if we said we authorize the parks up to 2, at your discretion, or? I'm just trying to think.
I think we typically,
Up to the 2 presented?
we've typically taken these one at a time,
Okay.
right?
Yeah.
In the past, and I think, I mean, the best example I can give is the little free libraries that are in parks. I mean, we've done it one at a time, and we take them case by case. So
Yeah.
we listen to, yeah.
So then we're talking then, today, the motion is just at one?
Yep.
Okay,
Yep.
I'll leave it at that.
I thank you for your concern though, because I've had a lot of people ask about that, and for me personally, one at a time, I don't think I could
Okay.
handle
Yeah, and I'm
making
really
2 and
anxious,
2.
I'm kind of anxious to see, you know, how it goes, you know, I think it's cool, I think, I consider it to be kind of like a pilot, it's the first one in town.
Yeah,
So,
commend you for
I
yep.
thank you for that.
Natasha?
As someone who grew up beneath the poverty line, that
You-
I could see the need, you know, so thank you.
Okay, sorry, I just wrote down a lot of stuff. One thing I'm wondering about is when you think about design, if you might wanna think about heat vents, because all you need is exploding canned goods.
Yeah,
That would be a
so
disaster.
on the official website, they do have a I don't wanna say pilot, but like a standard design, and they do include with like little vents on the sides, like underneath where like the shackles are. Shingles.
And then,
Oops.
one more thing.
No,
so
you're
sorry.
fine.
You know, I think Winslow Plaza, the design was to be a railroad plaza, and I think that it's important that the integrity of that design sort of carries through. And so, you know, like when we put more things in there, we have to be careful that it doesn't just become a cluttered blah, blah, blah. So either like having it the same as the little free library so that there's continuity, or something railroady might actually be good for the plaza. But the last thing we need is it to be just like, looking like flamingos in the front
Yeah.
yard.
That would be one of my points too. I think when Kiwanis did bring it up, we had to approve the design, and I think the same thing with this paint and how it looks.
Yeah, absolutely.
I can amend that motion to just include, that they work with city staff on the design as well, and I think that's kind of, I guess it's assumed, and we shouldn't assume,
Yeah.
but,
No, I'll second that.
yeah,
amended
okay,
motion.
yeah. All right.
What city staff should she be in contact
Nikki.
with? What?
Yep, should work with Nikki.
Yes,
Yeah.
work with me.
Yeah,
She'll grab a card.
I will.
Yeah.
Okay. I'll do that.
and then Ben will help with the install.
Yep,
Yeah,
absolutely.
all right, cool. All right, we have a motion and a second. Any other questions or discussion? I think this is awesome.
Great idea.
I think it is
I think
too.
our town
Mandy
needs more
for
people like you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? That motion carries.
Thank
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you guys.
No, it wasn't.
Going to item 8, this is park audits, and I just want to say up front, we're running a little long, but we had talked about this in our pre-agenda meeting, and you know, so I gave you guys some direction that, you know, we're gonna look at the 4 that we were supposed to look at last month, just to make sure you had those. So I think at this point, we really won't go very deep into these park audits tonight. Hand them into Justin, hand your, well, next, if you can, drop them off. Hand your evaluations into Justin, but I'll just say, if you have any like major highlights or major concerns of any of them, I mean, that really stand out, and you wanna talk about that now, then we can go ahead and do that, but I think otherwise, the plan would be for Justin to gather all the input, and then when we're done, we'll talk about it in one collective meeting. You know, but if you have things that you think you'd like to get out now, because you absolutely wanna make sure that you get it out now, we can do that. Go ahead.
I just think there's a safety thing at Columbia Park. The stage, the wood is like, and there's people who dance there twice a year, or maybe more. And they have Columbus graduation on that stage. I just feel like it's a fall risk.
Okay.
Yeah, we replaced that stage, I wanna say 2 for sure, maybe 3 times in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
We're trying to figure out what to do, because it's a historic building, so you gotta, it's been registered as.
To the historic qualities of the original stage,
So the last
which makes
time,
it very
yeah.
difficult to fix and to maintain, so I would say 3 times in the last 10 years, that's how long that wood has lasted, so.
The last time we did it, we used oak with tongue and groove, and it's still bulging. That was, what, 3 years ago?
3 years ago.
So running out of ideas, but
we-
yes, I understand what you're saying. It's starting to do this again.
We consult with our contractors too, various contractors, all sorts of people that pick their brain and say what works, what doesn't work. And this guy said, well, let's try oak, tongue and groove. And we said, okay, let's try the tongue and groove. And 3 years later, it's all bowing and rippling.
But it needs to be addressed. That's
Any
not
other
a good
points you
excuse.
wanna make?
I just have one point to make about Stroman Park. That's a deceptive park. It needs a lot of work. The pond was dry. And when I was there, I had some concerns because there was a knapsack and a sleeping bag rolled up there. And I had went past a couple more times and it was still there. Then I went past like 4 hours later and it was gone. So I'm not sure if someone is sleeping in there or it was a transit person who was just going through town. But that was one of my concerns. And there was a lot of trash there, a lot. And I would really hate to think that the people that work in that building would just throw their trash on the ground. I just have a hard time believing that.
Okay.
You wanna talk about Weber Park and the pond now, or you?
Well, we can talk about that in the, because that's not part of our evaluation.
No, but I didn't know if you wanted to just talk about all the parks or anything.
No,
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 okay.
but you can bring that up in the Parks Rec
Got it.
on item F. Yep.
All right.
Hardiker, for doing those, I noticed there's no trash receptacle. I saw garbage all around there. Today, I went there at lunch today. There's garbage, banana peel, there was, the plantings, looks like they are long abandoned. I mean, there was weeds. It was a little rough. I couldn't imagine wanting to go there. I thought there's no shade structure there, so to go there in the middle of the day, it's hot, so. I mean, I just happened to hit them all today at lunchtime, and I know like it's Stroman, but it was nice, you know, veterans, it was very nice shape, very nice park there, but to go to Hardiker, I just thought, why would you ever come here, especially if you live downtown or work downtown, to go in the middle of the day, it's hot, there's no shade in there, so.
Okay. Anybody else?
Just one, sorry.
Yep.
Forest Ridge, the courts are very bad.
Yep, they
That's
are.
what the-
I've been saying that for a while. And Ben, I know, they actually sealed them and resurfaced it and, resealed it, and filled in the cracks, so it's much better than it had, than prior to that. But you're right. I mean, I wrote down that court needs to be replaced, absolutely. And I would consider putting lights there, but I don't know about the neighbors, yeah. But yeah, thank you. Anybody else? Yep.
People do that, were coming here, so they really pumped me about Wenzel Plaza and porta potties. They said there was the rock and roll show, heavy metal Nirvana bands, and they said it was pretty atrocious.
Yep, I'm aware.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. All right, so hand in your evaluations to Justin, and again, we'll talk about this when all the results are gathered. And so, you know, keep your notes on your mind and we'll get it out at that time.
Probably November-ish, maybe even December.
Okay. We'll move on to recycling and parks. This actually is my agenda item. I'm sorry, I won't
No.
take long.
No, that's okay. We went through
And
this years ago.
I don't really think that we need an action item here, but and after I brought it up, so let me just summarize. You know, I've been hit up a lot at events, especially. So I think that's where we need to start. Wenzel Plaza, down at Wildwood Park at the big the Wildwood Station. With a lack of recycling containers, and you know, I mean, because people bring bottles, not supposed to. People bring cans. Let's not get into that. People bring cans, and there's really no place to recycle them. You know, I tend to take mine with me when I leave, but I really think as a progressive community, we need to, you know, kind of, especially in Parks and Rec, portray that we believe in recycling, and so I think we should start in those areas that hold the events and then even expand it further. Maybe Greasy would be a good place too, because that's kind of a gathering spot and you get a lot of people coming for soccer and stuff. So, and I brought this up and Justin and I talked about it, but it sounds like there already was a plan in place. So I'm gonna let you guys.
Yeah, we have kind of a recycling initiative, kind of started with the pool and ordering different colored cans. One's blue, resembles recycle, and one's black for trash. And so we have trash cans ordered. They're quite expensive, as you can imagine, about anywhere from $800 to $900 a pop. So they don't go very far, especially with a limited budget. Our budgets have been cut over the years, and I would anticipate that again this year to be cut more. So we have to continue to figure out how we can get a recycling program that's has some teeth in our parks. I think the big one would be like Wenzel, Wildwood, Hackman, where there's baseball games, where you have a congregation of people and inhabit. People by nature want to do well at their houses and their homes, but it seems like that leaves when they leave their house, and they don't recycle when they get to the park. So more times than not, our recycling cans and our trash cans are just co-mingled altogether. So recycling as a whole in a park system, industry-wide, has not been very successful because people have to do their part and actually recycle. And a lot of times they just, whatever's there, throw it, they don't care. And at their homes, very, very conscious of it. It seems like when we've dealt with recycling in the past, it's just a mess.
I get it.
I don't know how we can't change it. I mean, I can't.
I mean,
we can put
maybe
the recycling cans.
maybe it's about communication too. You know, I mean, we can lead the horse to water, right? And I think we haven't done our best effort to do that yet.
Right.
So, you know, and even I'll even go a little bit further at Wildwood. You guys have the recycling for events for people, but there's nowhere to put the recycling outside, right? Because there's only one garbage receptacle outside that gets picked up. So people have to take that recycling with them, and they're not gonna take a bag of stuff and throw it in their trunk in most cases, right? They're just gonna throw it in the garbage, in the trash. So I think even in that case, you have to have two pickup containers, not only recycling inside, but two pickups on the outside, if there's room.
I don't know.
I have a question.
Yep.
Okay, I'm the one that's been on this committee the longest.
Yeah.
We went through this years ago, and do you remember, Ben? We went through this and we put recycling at like Wildwood Park and can't remember what other, and people didn't comply with it. They will, like you said, they will at home, but when they're out, they just don't, for some reason, I don't know.
Nikki, how often do you get asked about why there's no recycling at Wenzel Park?
During events, quite a bit.
Yep.
And normally when we have events such as Hub City Days and Dairy Fest, they actually bring their own recycling bins and do it themselves.
Mhm.
But this year I've been asked quite a few times at the concert series where the recycling.
I think, I appreciate that, and I think that goes right along with what Justin says, maybe it's just people, you know, when they're outside their
Yeah.
homes, they're not thinking, go ahead.
You know, like, I feel like when I travel, if you go to the Minneapolis airport, they have these 3 places, and you have to read it. This gets burned for trash, this is your paper, and this is your bottles, but they're very specific. But the thing I've noticed as a citizen is if it's closed and there's only a circle, then I only put circular things in it.
Mhm.
That's what I was going.
So I feel like that's just, you know, step one, is if we wanna do cans and bottles or whatever, you know, like, we just wanna get those, then we can worry about the paper and all that stuff later, but if we could just get those, cause that's the Wildwood Station, we had a grad party there last year, and we had the same problem, we had all these cans, and nothing, you know, nowhere to put it.
Yeah,
So.
I agree, I mean, we need to make it obvious for people, right, and simple.
Yeah.
And distinct.
Like,
right?
when you go to Quick Trip and they have those bins and you can only stick
Yeah.
cans or bottles, I mean, unless you made a very concerted effort to
Yes.
crumple something.
Yes.
But if there was an open trash can, you would just toss it.
Yes.
Yeah.
So I know there's a plan in place, at this point, do we need an action item, or are we?
Well, I think it's just discussion, so I don't think you
Yeah.
can take any formal action, but we can definitely bring it back if we want action.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not sure what the direction would be, because it's mostly a financial component at this point, because you have to order the trash cans and then order
Yep.
dumpsters at the
Yep.
couple locations, you know, that'll be a challenge too. Besides Wildwood, I think the other ones we could probably get by with. Wildwood would be our biggest challenge.
I mean, we've got
And
we've
that
got
one's
cardboard dumpsters right now. We got 2.
Yeah.
So we do that recycling, but it's not the everyday users. You know.
Yeah, I think the problem is that the Wildwood one is probably gonna be the biggest use of recycling
Sure.
items. I mean, there's a party in there
You hope, yeah.
3 or 4 days a week, and, you know, they're, so,
At Hub City though, you couldn't find recycling.
Yeah.
They were full, you know, they had the canned ones, and
Yeah.
so maybe you limit, you can't bring it, you have to use what we would supply, and supply more of them. I try to look for them, and I think other people do too.
Mhm.
If they're full and you can't find it, guess what? The cans don't go in the cans then.
Yeah.
You know?
yeah.
But, you know, on the other hand, though, there's still the perception that Marshfield is trying to
Yes.
move forward.
Exactly.
Yeah,
I mean,
and we should
Okay,
carry
we got
that forward.
overloaded, you know,
Yep,
but
carry
for the
forward.
most part, we're trying.
Yeah.
We believe in the philosophy of it.
Yep, I agree.
Agreed. Okay, well, I don't think we need to beat the horse anymore, but I'd really, I'm happy to hear that you guys are looking at this, and it's really the biggest comment I get from people who know that I'm on Parks and Rec is, why is there no recycling here? You know, but anyway, all right, on to reports. Let's do highlights, shall we? Recreation.
Amanda's not here, but
Yeah.
Van de Hay's gonna close on Monday, it's the last day. Fair starts on Tuesday, so it's a good time to transition, and most of the staff are leaving this weekend pretty much, and she'll limp by for Monday. She is doing her fall soccer coaches meeting right now, so we have, I think, really good numbers. I think we're higher than last year. Most of the summer programs are all wrapped up, and she's gearing up for fall and winter.
Okay.
Good.
I saw a couple comments on social media about the pool closing, and you know, I mean, it's obvious, right? People of school age, are working there and going back to school. That seems pretty obvious to me, and I think every city is in the same boat. I don't think Marshfield's unique.
Nope.
So, all right, events and programs. Nikki?
Okay, so the Hub City Concert Series, I don't know where the summer went, but we have 3 more shows. One is a reschedule for September 9th because of rain last week, and so we do plan on doing that one. Otherwise, this weekend and next weekend, numbers have been really, really good for the Hub City Concert Series, so that's really exciting to see. Wild Wednesdays concluded today. We've been averaging about 200 between the 2 programs every week, so that is up. We did add food trucks to that event, maybe not every Wednesday, but they have been there numerous Wednesdays, and I think that adds as well. Yoga in the Plaza has been really successful this year. Thankfully, we've only had to move it to off the mat twice, I believe. That will conclude at the end of August. Hub City Days went really, really well. There were people that were nervous moving it to Wenzel Plaza a couple years back. And now, I think it's definitely a staple for Wenzel Family Plaza. Talking with Main Street and their board, they really do like the location for Hub City Days. Car show was up this year. All of Wenzel was packed, and we did utilize veterans this year too for the kids zone. That also went really well, which I love because I think veterans is a little underutilized, but it worked great for the kids zone because of the shading and the space. As we're looking forward, we do have Maple Fall Fest coming up at Wildwood, and so I am working with Visit Marshfield on logistics with that along with Ben. And that will go, there's really no change with that that I can see. We do plan on closing the fountain sometime in September. Our target date is after Labor Day. So we'll see what the temperature brings, mostly with Van de Hey closing, but it is after Labor Day is our plan. I have flyers as we're looking forward to the fall, Halloween, and our holiday plans, and so I'm just gonna pass this around. If you wanna see, we are partnering with Main Street Marshfield on these events. You can see what is in our parks in Wenzel and then also downtown, which is a nice little flyer.
I know
And
her.
working with Kaylee on that. And then with Second Street Redevelopment Committee, there's no real update on that.
Cool. Any questions for Nikki? Comment? Really nice job of Hub City Concert Series. I love how it's growing. Really cool to see people come for a free event.
Yeah,
You know, really cool.
We've seen upward of 300 plus
Yeah.
people, so.
Yeah, nice job. All right. Parks, Forestry, and Zoo, Ben?
It's been a busy summer. There's lots of stuff on this report. I don't know. Baseball and softball's done. Soccer's starting. We talked about that, so that's nice. We did a pretty big project on our Figgy field this year. Top Dressed had overseeded it, so that's coming together well. Mark's got all the ash trees treated for the year. 123 terrace trees, 35 park trees. At the zoo, I guess the biggest thing is Sarah's done an excellent job with all of our educational things, zoo camps, special events. Nikki with Wild Wednesdays. Today was the last Wild Wednesday program. A lot of educational stuff this summer. Sarah is looking to try to get 2 fawns and a doe this fall for a whitetail. So that hopefully we'll see a couple more animals here yet this year. Did a lot of concrete work the last couple of months. I think Dan highlighted some of that in the cemetery portion, but you know, we pull them out of the cemetery to do park items, and we got a lot of memorial benches in this year, and some other oddball stuff that he's worked on. He's done a great job running the crew and being the foreman for those projects. Fireworks went well. It was kind of a rainy day, but they went off. Cup City Days went excellent, I thought. Everybody did a great job with those. So, if anybody's got any questions, feel free to ask. But there's
I'll open up for questions of Ben. Anyone? And I think this would be a good time for you to ask your question about the Weber Park.
Weber Park Pond. You can walk across it.
So we only treat,
It's bad.
I mean, once a month we come in and treat the
I know.
whatever, and we try to only do the area in front. I mean, it's very expensive, so to treat the whole, I think we spend about 7,000 to treat what we do.
Wow.
To do the whole pond would be much more than that.
So, you know, it's gonna be a
Bernadine
mosquito.
Bernadine Weber asked to treat it, and it was never treated before, probably 5 years ago. And she paid for all of the treatments, and that was probably closer to $25,000-$30,000. Then she decided not to pay for that anymore, and we took on some of the treatment because we were never treating it before.
Okay.
And we've retained about 7,000 just to get it to the condition that it's in now. If we were to pay for it, it's quite costly. I mean, to treat that. Hummus is the same way, but they pay for that treatment themselves.
Okay.
They continue, so you'll see a difference between the 2 ponds if you go to Hummus and Weber.
Yeah.
Hummus still pays full for his, and that's quite an operation out there.
I knew we were treating it somewhat, but yeah, not the whole thing, yeah.
And we
So-
do have the aeration running
Yeah.
back and running
Oh, yeah.
again,
Yeah.
so.
So what that is, right, I mean, it's runoff, and it's, you know, chemicals from people treating their lawns, and, you
Yeah,
know,
don't dump in there.
phosphorus.
The
Yep.
blue-green algae, is that what it's
Oh,
creating?
the green algae, that's,
Okay.
that's like poisonous, but I
Right,
think
no,
it's,
that's
it's
what I
some
was
type
gonna
of
say.
algae, yeah, it's some kind of
Yeah.
algae, yeah.
And there's a lot of kids that fish down there.
Yeah.
During the day.
There
They're all
is?
soaking a line, it's amazing, parents go, kids fish, dogs swim.
Oh, I would never let my dog in.
Yeah, but you see dogs in there, but it's nasty right now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a mosquito haven here soon.
Yeah, I can
My
check.
neighbor complained to me about it.
I can check next time
Doesn't
they're supposed to
mosquito
be
haven
coming
whether
in.
it's treated or not.
Well, yeah, but it's even gonna be worse now. I mean, it's bad. It's
Yeah.
bad.
Any other questions for Ben?
No.
All right, thank you, Ben.
Yep.
Amy, you're up.
All right, let's see, there were 13 burials in June and 24 in July. In July, we also had our first ever ossuary interment, so basically it's on the columbarium in the Catholic cemetery, where there's niches on either side for the cremations. On the top, there's almost like a chimney, which is the ossuary, which you can just dump ashes into, like a community basement for ashes.
Wow.
So first
Never heard
ever
of that
that
before.
they've ever had with that. That was in July. Marked out several graves to Marshfield Monument, placed new headstones. Like Ben said, and we've done tons of concrete projects this summer. Backfilling and seeding, strawing the projects, as well as Catholic road replacement project. Was seeded, strawed, everything's coming in really nicely with the grass. And prepared the cemetery budget for 2023.
Questions for Amy? Thank you, Amy. Justin, what you got for us?
Just three things. The round barn windows were ordered, contracts are done. They should be in probably around September. And then we'll work with Woodstock Construction on installing those windows in the fall or over the winter. We have started the city budget process, so things like recycling and those things, we were asked to have a 2% reduction in our budget. So there's no room to add things when you're asked to have almost a 2%. So everything that's going up is by cost. We're not adding anything new to our budget. We did add Porta Johns though to Benedict. We are also looking at EV charging stations in the community at various locations, like the community center, Wenzel Plaza, Wildwood, maybe Bream, or.
Is that a parks, not a street?
That would be a, what do you mean? I'm sorry.
What was the question?
No, this is the Park and Rec has to take care of the EV station?
No, it's a group effort. It's Marshall Utilities, engineering, inspection. GM is paying for it as well as Marshall Utilities. So in town, Wheelers is Wheelers is kind of spearheading it with their operations, and Mary Jo is kind of taking the lead and working with Nick Comment Utilities. But I'm just sharing with this group as
Gotcha.
as
What
I'm
level-
also part of that.
What level charging?
The best level.
Really? The fast level?
I can plug it in like my phone?
I really don't know. I don't think it's probably the best.
Oh, I mean, there's 4 levels.
Yeah.
1 to 4, okay, okay. Just wondering, because I mean, it matters, I mean, 20 minutes versus, 12
3
hours.
hours.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah,
You know, like,
and I know GM's looking to go all electric by like 2024 or
cool.
something, so.
Well, that's good to hear.
Yeah.
Any
So
other
talk about forward
questions?
thinking, we're having electronic
Yeah.
charging stations for cars, but no recycling, so.
You need a place to put those batteries later too. Yeah.
Well, battery recycling area.
Any other questions for Justin?
I just have one
Yep.
question. Hey, are the brochures, the fall brochures ready?
Should be out shortly, right? They went up to,
Went to print.
went to print
They
this
went to
week?
print,
Yep.
okay,
Yeah.
cause I touched base with Amanda and I told her to let me know when they're ready and I can run them around town again.
It's been a little bit of a challenge.
Yeah, that's what she
Company's
said.
great to
She
work
said-
with, but just sometimes can be
Okay.
easy like they used to be.
Well, okay, I'll send her, I'm sure
Hey,
she knows.
time for any Parks Rec Forestry Committee members, comments that haven't gotten out today, and then future agenda items.
Okay, so yeah, I was at a butterfly release with the Marshfield Monarchs group, and they had expressed interest in having an exhibit in the Hummus Park. apparently, Melissa said she maybe reached out to you guys before about something like this. I'm not sure because I'm new. But she let me know that today, that they're looking to have like a little thing that they would put up and maintain and have, a little dedicated area over there.
So is this a future agenda item?
I mean,
Is she-
if she wants to do a presentation and ask, her, we'll have to work with the Hamas family and utilities.
Okay.
Just so they're aware.
Yeah, she said utilities was fine with it.
I would assume so, I would assume both are, but.
Yeah, and I
Just-
think she had talked to them, so I think we were the last ones on her list, so I figured I'd bring it up here.
Yeah, sure,
as a-
just like everything,
Yeah.
the low free libraries, they'd have to do some.
Can we get her to, if you want to talk to her?
I'll reach back out
We'll get her
to her,
on the
yeah.
agenda for next month and then have her come in to do a quick
Mhm.
presentation. Doesn't need to be, 20 minutes or just 5
Yeah.
minutes.
Yeah, I know they had a place in the zoo for a while.
Yeah, they
and-
did. I was gonna
and-
say, didn't they
And
have a
that,
place
that's
in
my
the zoo?
other, I guess it's not really in a future agenda item, just, where that area was is now an area in the zoo for domestic rabbits. I don't know if you guys know that area. I was just curious, as to like why the domestic rabbits are in that area, and, I have domestic rabbits in my house, so to see them outside in an area that they don't have much space, much love, they're very social creatures, it's kind of like, why are they presented the way they are? They have a little shell, but that's really all they have for comfort from the outside. They're not outside rabbits, it's normally an outside animal zoo, so just more on that, I guess.
I guess 15 years ago when I started, there was rabbits there. We had the same thought, and then we redesigned it to be the turtle exhibit, and then we put the turtles in with the welcome center when we redid that, and then we had the monarchs there. It was a great partnership. The issue there was they wanted to get in after hours, and it's a locked location. So then we worked with them with utilities to out in Mill Creek Trail, and they've got an area out there. That's where they've been, and I haven't really heard much since then. I know they got some signage out there, and I think it's working. But then we had a spot for the turtles, so then we said, well, people like the rabbits, so we brought the rabbits back, was basically the nuts and bolts of the long story. So-
I'm just curious because, it's hard for me to see them out there. I live on Balboa, so I'm over there all the time, and I just know my rabbits would not do well in an environment like that. And it kind of sends the message to people in the community, like, hey, stick your domestic rabbit in a hutch, because they have very little space, and I don't know, that's just my 2 cents, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, we could review it with Sarah and get her thoughts too, and. Yep.
Sure. Sounds good. All right. I think, anybody else? Nope. All right. Next meeting, not yet, you got it. Next meeting is. Can't skip item 11. Next meeting's 5:30 Wednesday, September 14th. Let us know if you can't make it as soon as you can, so we can plan if we're either gonna meet on a different day or hold it for a month, but we'd rather meet otherwise because otherwise the meetings get long, right?
Yeah.
All right, now I'll entertain a motion.
Randy.
Motion to adjourn, second by Randy. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you very much.